Good afternoon, everyone. Second stream of the day. You guys are lucky, even when Craig and I are a bit under the weather. And we're just speaking with Dith before as well. And apparently he's not too well either, guys. So absolutely stoked to be here when we're all at about 60% energy. That's what you want in a live stream, isn't it? 60% energy from the crowd. But Dith, how are you going, mate? And good afternoon to you, Craig, as well. How you both going?
Yo, buddy. Dith, how are you?
Thanks for having us on, boys. We're 60%, but we're here. We're here, man. No days off.
We still show up every day.
Yeah. That's how we do.
That is how we do. But yeah, so obviously, if for those who don't know who Dith is, guys, he's the founder of Gigaverse. So one of the most popular games, I'm going to say in crypto at the moment, but obviously more exclusively to abstract. Definitely, I've had a lot of fun over there for probably a couple of months now, because I'm pretty sure you've had your game pretty much up there from as early as you could have had. Is that correct, Dith?
Yeah, I think we put the game live like a couple of weeks after Abstract launched, and the first 10 days or so the game was closed. Like, you needed a ROM to get in.
That's right.
And then we opened it up to really anyone who wanted to come and create an account.
Love that. No, well, I'm a huge fan. I mean, I've been playing it for quite a while, so it's great. So we'll definitely dive into some more technical questions throughout the game. We'll obviously start it more broadly to get potential people who haven't seen this game before a little bit of insight into it. I definitely want to touch on Cyclops, because I actually bought some of that this morning, but a couple of days ago as well, so we can discuss that.
Nice.
And then also just sort of your general nature around abstract. I think that's probably sort of where we'd like to take the conversation today as well. So, Craig, do you want to start us off with with more of those simple onboarding sort of questions?
Yeah, man. Actually, I wanted to ask Dith, just before we get into the abstract side of it, what was your favorite game growing up when you were a young kid or young fella? What got you going on games? What was your favorite?
When I was really young and I just started gaming, like my first console that I spent a lot of time with was the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
So
I was Master System, so I was just before you. I'm a bit older. Yeah. So what were you playing on there? What was your favorite on Genesis? Was it Sonic?
The first game, I had Sonic, loved Sonic, but the first game that I really kind of fell in love with, being kind of like grew up and ending up being like a sci-fi dude and loving like mechas and robots and shit. Yeah. It was a game called Cyborg Justice.
Cool.
Which it's a side-scrolling like beat 'em up, a little bit like Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
I love Streets of Rage as well.
I'm big fan. Your PFP reminds me a bit of Streets of Rage.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God, Streets of Rage. I
used to play that so much, dude, with my friends. Like, yeah, that was me in primary school.
Do you remember the dude with the knife who just like run randomly across the
screen? That's right. He just steamroll you like Bebop Rocksteady. That's right. The reason why I actually asked you is the rock, paper, scissors element of your game reminds me of Alex the Kid on Master System, which was one of the first games. It was a built-in game in the Master System. You didn't have to buy it. So when you turned it on, Alex the Kid was on there, and there was a side scroller. And when you got to the bosses, you did rock, paper, scissors. So it made me think. I actually went to old Alex the Kid videos today to look for comparisons. There's not a lot other than that mechanic, to be honest. But it just, even the graphics and the pixel, obviously everything back then was pixelated. They had no other choice. But that's why I think the game, it resonates with me, because I'm an 80s baby, man. So I like pixels. It reminds me of being when times were a little bit more simple, probably.
Yeah. I mean, nostalgia is very powerful, and we like purposely lean into it. And I think like the very best, across kind of all like really good music, really good movies, really good games, they kind of like make you feel something, or take you back to a certain place or time, right? And that's kind of like the vibe we wanted to achieve with the game. So we spent a lot of time thinking about like the look, the sounds, like little moments or little animations that will happen.
Like even in your banner in the background, you've got like a throwback to all the old games, like Wolfenstein, Doom, all the ones I remember, dude. Street Fighter, you got Street Brawler there. You've obviously read Tomb Raider. yeah, obviously all renamed Resident Evil. Those are all games, man, that I used to lose my mind on. So just looking at your stuff,
Man,
yeah, I was like, yeah, dude. So
It
nice.
was like the age of it was kind of like the like the golden age of action movies where you needed
Bruce Willis and Sly, and when you could actually aggressively slaughter people by the thousands in a village.
that. Plus, you couldn't just like lean on CGI for everything, right? So you needed like Colin Arney, who was actually built like a tank. And so like nowadays, movies can take shortcuts, and I think some games also, like, the reality is they look amazing, but the gameplay is just like not that great. It's not that novel. They just happen to be like using, just like all the latest technology and shit. And
it just looks.
I think this older era, like the gameplay actually had to be good, or the acting had to be good, or the storyline had to be good, or like Arnie had to be like, just the best
and
tank.
buff.
Yeah.
I wanted to, sorry, Greeny, to cut off. The reason why I was sort of asking that question as well is sort of to lead into with, playing games as a kid and leading up to Gigaverse. Sort of what was your journey in getting to that point where you actually decided you want to become a game creator and ended up at Gigaverse?
Oh man, I wanted to be a game creator my whole life. I just, growing up, it wasn't clear what that path would be. I thought, like, how the hell am I ever going to get into the games industry? Like, I spend so much time playing games and massive gamer, but how do I get in? The first sort of attempt was when I was 21, and I ended up importing the world's fastest PC. Like,
wow.
I had a co-founder, and he was running a PC hardware business, and together we assembled a PC that we actually submitted to the World Chess Championship.
Wow.
Finished second.
What?
Wow,
And then,
that's epic.
So yeah, very, very close. But we were only kind of like a year in at this point. And then we were like, okay, well, we need to make some money. So I ended up importing it here in Dubai, and we ended up selling it in like the largest electronics retailer. Ended up selling it as well, like to private orders. There were certain sheikhs who wanted to kit out their majlis with like 80 gaming PCs, so they could play WoW with their buddies. So it was a really, really cool. I would say it was gaming adjacent, right? Because at the end of the day, we were just selling the hardware, not building a game. But that was kind of like my first sort of go at doing something related to gaming. At the time, I was studying medicine, though, and for one reason or another, I didn't end up dropping out. So so things were kind of like very weird at that point, where I was still living in the UK and I was trying to run this startup in Dubai at the time. And anyway, like, since then, I kind of like, I guess to a degree, resigned. Like, how the hell am I ever going to build a game? I don't know people who design games. That's not my network. I also love playing games, but if I'm realistic with myself, like, what do I know? And then, of course, like, the bridge to building games was crypto. It's funny, like, I see crypto, like, the whole sort of like, the time that you spend here and the things that you look at and the people that you meet, the things that you do, the buttons you click, like, crypto is like an MMO in of itself, right? And I made the move into crypto full time, like, I think about 2.5 years ago, by joining a great game studio called Proof of Play, who have like a lot of very experienced game designers, game engineers working there. That they're building this game called Pirate Nation. So that's kind of how I cut my teeth and saw from the inside how a game is built. And I'm grateful to that crew, because up until that point, as I say, I didn't know if I was ever going to get to build a game of my own. So I learned a lot there. And then, of course, after we launched Gigaverse, things were going so well that I was like, shit, well, what if I end up putting all my time and energy towards this thing? How far can we take it? And so that's why about 6 weeks ago, I left Proof of Play to focus on Gigaverse full time.
Mm-hmm. See, I didn't know that. That's cool. I like a background story, and because I was just looking at your profile too, and I want to talk about sort of Stripe and where you sort of gain knowledge with working with Stripe as well in the past. But yeah, that's really cool. Proof of Play, Pirate Nation, yeah, huge hype over there. How far along are they with their sort of dev side, their building side as well, or is it live currently?
So it's live currently. That game launched just over 2 years ago, and I had a TGE last summer.
Yeah.
Pirate Nation's being built in this really cool, really opinionated way, which is fully on chain.
Yeah.
You know, the vast majority of games that are on chain, including Gigaverse, are not fully on chain. Pirate Nation decided to put it's kind of like an extreme case study, put everything on chain,
cool.
basically.
Yeah.
And very technically difficult to do that, especially at scale. So what they're doing is they are building, they're actually building the infrastructure to support that. So you kind of see like Pirate Nation as a showcase game for their tech.
Yeah.
And they want to open up a bunch of that tech for it's not just for games. They're already serving like other applications with bits and pieces of their tech. So made great friends there, learned a lot. And as I say, just kind of grateful. If it wasn't for the time I spent there, then I probably wouldn't be here building Gigaverse.
Absolutely. And it's so like networking is so important, and like networking initially, but then sustaining that friendship, that collaboration is like, because you can always reliably go back. Like I know like the way that you would go and talk to these people is the same way that I would go back and talk to some of the Bodoggos team who helped me grow my brand like 2 years ago, right? And I can like rely on them to say, hey, easy, like, what's your thoughts on this or whatever it is. And like networking is such a powerful tool. And if you go about it in the right way, which a minority will have to say in crypto go about it in the right way, then it's a powerful tool moving forward. So obviously I wanted to touch briefly on Stripe. So did that sort of help you understand how to like add financial sort of crypto assets into your Gigaverse game, or is it just completely just a different direction that you sort of took your life in before you obviously dove more into the crypto side of things?
Well, what happened was I was working on a startup that I spent a good few years on, and I'd raised a couple rounds of venture for, and I had an exit just before COVID. So I exited the startup. I then moved back to London. I got to London and I was like, great, I'm going to take some like time off. I'm going to like game. I'm going to read, hit the gym. And then like a month later, COVID hit. Yeah. And fortunately at that time, like I just met, she was my girlfriend at the time, and then we're now married. We have a kid, so it all worked out just fine. But then during this time in COVID, for that first 6 months, we're just kind of like holed up in our bubble, and it was great. Like we had that quality time. But eventually, I was like, well, I need to be like kind of productive here. What should I do? Should I like launch another startup? There wasn't like a problem that I was very passionate about solving at the time. Like life was good. Like, I met my, now wife, and we were like in a part of central London that everyone left. So we were like in this sort of like, just very, very sort of peaceful and like nice stage of life, despite the chaos with COVID. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just get a job actually. Like, let me join a startup where I can like learn a bunch of shit. And I was interested in Stripe because I hadn't worked at like a late growth stage startup. At the time, Stripe was already 3,000 people. When I joined them, it was 3,000, and then I stayed there just over 2 years. And by the time I left, it had grown to like almost 9,000. Wow. So we went through this like late growth stage, hyper growth of tripling in size, and that had its like kind of good. There was like good sides to that. There was bad sides to that, but it was very useful to see from the inside. And what happens when you join Stripe, which is it's a payments company for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah. And they're killing it. They're probably going to end up being like one of the best startup success stories of like all time. When you join, they actually really like hiring people that don't come from a payments background. Like they could hire anyone that's like never worked in payments, because their process is in the first 3 months that you join, they like teach you everything you need to know about payments. They have like very, very strong onboarding, and there's a very strong like documentation and reading culture at Stripe. So you join and like, don't worry, we'll teach you. And that first month in particular, like you have a lot of these like light bulb moments, understanding how like payments work around the world. And like the biggest thing that I got out of that time there was like, holy shit, there's actually a real use case for crypto. Like why does it cost so much money? Why are there so many middlemen involved in like, a simple like credit card transaction? Why do cross-border remittances take so damn long? If there's this crypto technology right now, people are calling it a scam. But the reality is I can get money like across the world in an instant with barely any fees.
Yeah.
And so I actually started believing more like in the fundamentals of the technology. And that's when this was like 2020, 2021, started spending more time like reading crypto, asking friends about it, buying my first like in size. Like prior to that, I'd always just like nibbled like $100 of this, $200 of that. But in 2020, I started actually like, dropping, a few bands on different coins. And then I think NFTs is when I really kind of like ended up spending a lot of time and trading. So yeah, Stripe was the catalyst for all that, really.
Very cool. Very cool. No, I love that. I mean, Craig, off you go. You can take the next questions.
With cross-border payments in mind, Dith, are you an XRP holder or fan?
Fair question.
You know what? With the price action,
589, are you into it?
I should be. You know why? I mean, sometimes knowing too much, it just leads you to like mid curving.
Yeah, you're retarded sometimes, eh?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's why when like
look
back
at
in
Bitcoin.
Exactly 2015, 2016, I like some of my friends were like going really hard on crypto, and I just mid curved it. I was like, how and why would governments and banks ever allow this to happen? They'll never allow it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why it was so like high risk, high reward, to be early and to not like let these kind of questions like stop you from clicking the buttons. So, I think that's just the XRP thing is like just a great example of mid curving on my side.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wanted to ask, so you mentioned like you're in London and then, so you got into crypto, 2021, something around there? Was that your first?
Yeah, that's when I really started. I mean, that's kind of when I started being like active on Twitter and like actually, it was at some point that I took like I think it was like $8,000 worth of savings and bought ETH at like the top.
So for 2 ETH, that reminds me of what I was trading with back then, like just pennies, just absolute pennies.
Yeah, it felt like a lot though, didn't it?
It felt insane.
It felt scary. You're like, shit, am I going to lose all my money?
And it was like insane FOMO as well. I just remember thinking like, being complete noob then, just thinking like, whoa, like how far is this going to go? Are Bored Apes going to be like worth multiple millions? Like, it's a crazy time.
Actually, you mentioned you got into NFTs, Dith. So did I, because I entered around the same time as you, started 21, end of 2020. Did you get into the NFT craze when it was popping off in 21/22 a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. I think I bought my first NFT was actually a Solana NFT, Grim Syndicate.
Really?
Which I thought I still think they look really cool. So I want to say that was like September of 21. Like, unfortunately, I missed that summer, which was like when like a lot of I saw the Bored Apes minting. I saw them on Twitter. Like somehow the algo like fed it to me, and I was like, okay, so everyone's like, this is everyone's digital identity now. Like, why is everyone? What are these numbers? And I could see it. Like the algo was feeding it to me, but I don't know. At the time, I was very, very busy with work, and I like didn't spend the fucking 10 minutes needed to like set up MetaMask. So regrets there, but I'm just glad that I was maybe a month or two late, but
you stuck to it.
Yeah, eventually started clicking buttons.
And then when did Gigaverse start to become a thought in your mind? I guess what I'm asking is, how long has it been in the works for?
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like on the one hand, we say there's no roadmap, and then like on the other hand, kind of been thinking about this for years. The reality of like when we started putting like pen to paper and building the thing was about this time last year, we were launching Discord games. So Garnish, who's the technical co-founder at Gigaverse, he'd built like a few Discord games, and we were like, okay, we actually want to build these like fun little mini games, and let's distribute them via these like, these kind of like channels and platforms. Like let's launch them on Discord, let's launch them on Telegram, let's launch them on Farcaster. This was before, I know there was this like whole Telegram game meta and shit, but this was before that. We were like a good sort of like three to 6 months before that whole thing kicked off. And so we built these mini games. We ended up focusing on Discord because that's where our community was, the early community. And we built a Telegram game. We built a Farcaster game that we just never launched. But our idea was it would be one game that players across all these platforms could play against each other in real time. The reason that we kind of like build out of that and we're like, fuck it, let's build like a proper like browser-based on-chain game was simply because of the clunkiness of the on-chain experience, predominantly with Discord. Like Telegram's fine, it has integrated wallets and the rest, but Discord was very clunky. Like people had to click a button that opened a browser tab, then you connected your wallet. Like it's too many steps. So we're like, all right, we got to build, like a proper on-chain game. Let's start in browser, which is the easiest to build with. And yeah, like, that was kind of like, I guess, the second half of last year when we're like, okay, well, what's this thing called? And how does it work? And so, the idea started coming together for Gigaverse. And then we revealed it in January. So, we kept all of that very, very under wraps. And that's kind of actually how we prefer to build in that way. We would much rather like be cooking something really fun and exciting that people don't know is coming. Because then it's just way more fun for everyone that way.
No, I love that. I got some good questions in the chat too that I will get to, guys. So if you do have any, do let me know. But no, I wanted to take it back because you've got an insane amount of followers on Twitter. Like it is hard to grow a Twitter brand. And like Craig and I speaking from experience. So I wanted to discuss about how did you go about that? Was it NFT related? Was it gaming related? Was it purely because of Pirate Nation collaboration over there? Was it because of Gigaverse sort of hype that you kind of alluded to for a while and people speculated? Like, talk to us a little bit about the brand side of Dith.
I think like the boring stuff is just that like I've been pretty consistently tweeting for the last, I don't know, 4 years maybe. And as you boys know, some tweets like you think are great, no one gives a shit about. They do nothing for you.
Every one of mine, man.
Right. And you're like just kind of surprised, like, what? That was a banger. And then
I got two.
And then you do a shitty one with no effort and it goes viral. It's just stupid.
Just the GM gets 200 likes. You're like, what a GM?
My GM gets 3K views every day. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's so funny. So there's a lot of that of like, oh, okay, well, if you're just consistent, like eventually, and you're just here, like I was here, I think I was tweeting like or I tried to like at least every day during that, like, remember the brutal bear where I actually I left Stripe and joined Proof of Play. It was like 2 months after the FTX crash.
Oh yeah.
So the ETH was still at like 1,200 and like friends and family were like, are you sure you're leaving Stripe for who? For what? Crypto? Like what the fuck?
Yeah, I got heaps of shit too.
Right. So yeah, I just kind of like, I think I made a lot of my best friends actually during that time, during like the darkest, coldest nights of the bear, right? And then I think like every time, I'm ultimately a go-to-market guy. So what I really nerd out over are like big launches, right? Really cool moments in time where like, okay, there's this thing that we're putting out there, we're launching this game or whatever, and you have it's kind of like a window where, okay, there's like a spotlight and there's like a lot of attention, and these are also like moments where engagement's like on easy mode. So I've just had the opportunity to do that a couple of times, obviously, as I've been working in the space. So that helps. And then I will say, like, behind the scenes, I'm like networking basically 24/7. Yeah. At Pirate Nation, I was head of BD, but I was also, I was kind of like looking after, the full go-to-market spectrum. So I was always meeting with other marketers, other community people, other partnerships people, and so on. So I think that just like helps over time. And so I don't know if there's like a great tip or silver bullet here for people. It's simply like, I work in the space, so it gives me, that helps. That helps me put like a lot more time to building these relationships, connecting with people, and I think that helps like support, growing follower count.
I just had to look at your followers there. Jesus. I was like, what the hell? Great number though, 111.
Yeah, that's a clean number.
That's clean, bro. Keep it there. That's
Oh, you guys, I'm very OCD about the numbers as well.
Yeah, I'm like, that's actually one of my lucky numbers, 111. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
That's good.
Well, 1111 actually is the one.
I love 11. Oh, yeah, I love 11 too. I'm a big fan of 11.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm very superstitious with numbers. It's
good striker. I don't know if you guys follow soccer, but 11's a good, very good jersey. Very good jersey number. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Dith, just for the people tuning in, or actually just to frame it, Greeny's jammed this out pretty hard. He's played a lot of Gigaverse, and I'm a bit of a noob. For people listening who perhaps haven't played it or just started, how would you describe the game just in basic terms, in layman's terms, for someone who hasn't played it yet?
So it starts off like your first impression is going to be like, oh, old school RPG. I come in, I'm in a dungeon. It's not explained why I'm here, how I got here. And the game is like simple enough to figure out what you need to do. We designed it so that you don't need like to read docs or to like read a detailed guide. Then you get into like the first, what's essentially like a game loop, right? Where you hop into this dungeon and the underlying like logic of the battles is rock, paper, scissors, which we love as a meme. Like I think, initially some people were like, what? This is like so simple. And we're like, exactly.
Exactly.
We see simplicity as like the ultimate achievement, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want you to be able to get it. And then like we can layer in optionality and complexity on top, right? Like this consumables, and now you have gear to take in, and there'll later be more. Slowly we like layer in these things to make it feel different and new every time. So anyway, the reason I mentioned this game loop combat is essentially like Gigaverse will grow to have many, many game loops. And so it ultimately will end up feeling like, abstracted very well to, I think, coin the sort of like on-chain Disneyland type title, which really is going to apply to the future of Gigaverse too. So, the sort of like the Disneyland analogy, or like a carnival analogy, where there's like many, many different things to do, many different ways to spend your time. You can try to be like good at everything, or you can kind of specialize. There's parts of the game that maybe you want to play a lot, other parts that you don't want to play much, things that you can do with your friends, can PvP, play against your friends. Just different ways to spend your time and collect different resources and play different meta games around the game. That's where we're heading. It's just like, as I say, we're trying to ensure that when we release stuff, it's just a surprise to the upside, and people don't know exactly what part is coming when. Our community are like awesome and kind of always eager for info. So every now and then we can't, and we're excited too. So every now and then we can't resist it, and we got to leak some shit. But for the most part, for the most part, we'll share like the high level vision, but just kind of expect surprises along the way.
My chat's saying that are you secretly Elon Musk because your accent's shifted? Eli's out here saying that it's slightly shifted in the past 3 months. So
Elon, you've let your guard down.
Yeah, sorry, Elon. Mate. Yeah, apologies. No, it's funny. It's funny because but I like what you're doing, right? Because you're building hype in a good, healthy way that is sustainable. And then when it's required, you drop a little bit of info, which is, it keeps that nugget alive, keeps that little fire burning that you need to keep stimulation, people happy, hype, sentiment, and the community coming back. Because I agree, it's like one of my favorite games that continues to evolve. Like even just jumping in today for the first time in a few days, there's a new chest that I can go and open and get. I just got some sapphire ring or something like that. So that's what I mean. There's little open avenues starting to like expand the sort of dungeon that you have created that was very simplistic, because I was there from like pretty much day one. So very simplistic. And now it's like, well, should I go craft some armor, or should I go craft things that I can use in the game? Should I go play the table? Should I be in juice mode? Should I be in normal mode? Should I be in Gigas mode? Like, there's so many options. You go to the top right and it's like, well, should I go and play in the Giga Shard mode? Like, it's like, yeah, okay. I like that because it allows people, like you said, to explore it in different ways, different avenues. I know Baylor.eth, huge fan of him, obviously from last cycle, but he's like completing the game every day. He's absolutely dominating it. Yeah, he's dominating it. So he's a good follow if you want a bit of Gigaverse alpha. But my question was, I wanted to touch base around more of the player numbers, and And has that obviously increased as Abstract's kind of gone more viral? Or do you find that it's more fluctuating based on what you do and what the Gigaverse sort of game comes out with and the updates and all those sorts of things? And is it increasing over time? That is the main sort of question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, generally the chart is up and to the right. But there's variability, right? Day to day and week to week as well. There's definitely like an uptick whenever we put out a big release, or we kind of push for more noise on social, like with the launch of Juice. That was like a very, very noisy week, and there's kind of like a mini campaign around that, right? Like where we had an Abstract badge and so on. So that was a very strong week. We had thousands and thousands of extra players coming into the game. And like generally, like our metrics are super strong. They're like, I would say like they're so strong that it's actually like they're unheard of in like a traditional gaming sense.
That's so good.
And I think while we try our best for the game to be really good. Like I think I give a lot of credit to Abstract here, right? Like Abstract are building an ecosystem that people believe in, and people take the XP very seriously. And so there's like these very, very helpful levers, and this is exactly what we were looking for as the builders, right? We come to an ecosystem and it's like, all right, have you guys thought about this? Like what mechanisms do you have on your side to excite people, encourage people, help retain people, and so on? And then all we need to do is like, okay, let's try to build a fun game or a great app. And in time, we can be more aggressive and put like budgets towards user acquisition and so on. But so far, we haven't had to. We haven't spent on UA, we haven't spent on marketing and so on, which is amazing for like we bootstrapped this launch. So I really think like Abstract's edge is strong there, and every day we're just like. It's very clear that we made the right call there.
That's how I found you, was obviously Abstract, and that was from Greeny saying to me, I was a bit since the week one of Abstract, he's like, Craig, you've got to come across it's got a lot of prominent figures behind
different. It's just different.
There's going to be there's XP you can earn from grinding on there. What he meant by grinding was playing games. I was like, well, playing games, okay, well, I love playing games. So, and then on top of that, streaming as well. So. Yeah, found Abstract. So I guess it's good to hear you say those sorts of things, because, you kind of need both people there, don't you? You've got to have the creators or the builders like you, and then you've got to have the players to play the game. So I think Abstract has brought those two together way more effectively than I've seen done ever in crypto. And I mean, other sides on the way, I suppose, how far away that is, who knows, how big that, no one really knows. But what I like with Abstract is the randomness of all the games. It's kind of like, I've got a 8-year-old son and he plays Roblox. So there's loads of different games within that game with creator content, and Abstract kind of feels the same, whereby there's so much variety of games, and there wasn't at the start, was there? It was very limited, obviously. It was at the start. There's only, you would have been one of the first, if not the first. I'm not sure. Whereas now there's so much more, so that's exciting. I mean, I guess you kind of how's your experience been with Abstract thus far? You kind of touched on it. What's that been like?
So I would say there's like a few things to call out. The first was like pre-launch. Because I've been working in the space and I knew like basically all the different chains, I connected with all those teams back in like October, November last year, when we were like gearing up, ready to launch. Abstract team just stood out because, like, honestly, they nailed the basics. Like, they were very, very responsive. They were quick to hop on calls. You would get to speak to like the kind of like the decision makers would make themselves available
rather than the secretary, right?
So you'd like, it was like Finn and Mason like hopping on and like talking to all the teams. And some point back then, Mason shared his calendar. I don't know if you remember this tweet, and it was just like the man was like, it was just like a wall of calls.
Really?
And it's like exhausting. I had like last week was a busy call week for me. I was on like, I don't know, 30 calls maybe.
Jesus.
And that shit is exhausting. But in his calendar, I think he was at like 60. So they just did the basics of like making themselves available, giving a shit, talking to their users, and doing the work, having a clear vision as well. Like you speak to a lot of chains and there's like some like wishy-washy trying to be a bit of everything.
Carbon neutral.
Yeah, exactly. And I think,
right.
I mean, yeah, all kinds of stuff, but Abstract, we're like, look, we see ourselves as like, we want to help with distribution. We believe in like consumer crypto. We're building this like app store experience. We're going to have streamers who help like put attention towards apps. So I was like, okay, I get it. Like you guys are like, there's an opinionated take here and a very clear like interest in driving attention to the builders on your chain. So it all looked and smelt really good before we launched. And so, yeah, pre-launch, we could kind of tell. Post-launch, what I've been enjoying most about Abstract, like, okay, great. That follows through, their shipping, the portal gets better. They have these cool, like, you know, systems with the XP and badges and the rest, great. But honestly, it's just kind of like the culture within the ecosystem, right? Like I've met like some of my, like I have like great new friends now. We have like an insane group of very, very talented creators who love Gigaverse, are helping us get the word out there, helping us grow. Like you mentioned Eli, right, earlier.
Yeah.
Hadn't met that guy until Abstract, right? And like, what a G.
He's a legend. Literally the same.
A weapon. I only met him through Abstract, and the guy's.
I'm going to say like 2 weeks ago, Craig. 2 weeks ago.
Right.
He's Eli's a weapon, man. Yeah, I agree with you saying Dith. Abstract community. And not just saying that. It's not one of those things where I'm saying I love the community. It's not like that. But the community's been really good to connect with. Everyone's pretty friendly, open to chat, willing to network, wanting to work, wanting to have fun. I think in the space for the right reasons as well. So yeah, sorry to cut you off, Dith. You keep going.
I completely agree, man. I mean, you kind of finished my thought there. So yeah, I mean, I essentially recommend it to every builder I talk to.
And it's been the same. Even I mean, Greeny's probably can back me up on this. Even although we're not devs, as creators, the Abstract teams made themselves available. Still can be hard to get hold of. Don't get me wrong. You might have to pester them once or twice, but they will reply eventually and they will have a chat with you. And it's like, man, what the hell? This is great. Like, you know, as long as it's a reasonable request and it's something they can help with, sure. But I haven't experienced that with other teams before. And that comes from several members of their team, not just one prominent one like Finn or something. There's 5 I could name that have been great. So for a creator, they've removed the friction for me to be able to understand what they're doing. And also for you builders, it's been I found with Abstract really easy to get to talk to you guys, and you've made yourself very available. So as often as, yeah, let's do it this week. And I'm like, what the fuck, this week? You want to do it? Like some of them will be like, let's go tomorrow. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not ready. You know, I'm not used to getting pressed, you know. So
but
shout out to the builders.
But like it's the consumer chain, and they have nailed it, right? Because each aspect of it needs to work seamlessly for it to succeed as a chain. Like that is why it works,
happy, right?
Everyone. It's like because it's the same on our side as the traders, as the like content creators. Like we need people like you, Dith, people like obviously the founders of each of the different games, different dApps, and obviously Abstract more broadly, like to actually jump on and chat with us, because that helps our brand and that helps their brand. So it's like a symbiosis relationship, and I love that. I've been asking chat for a lot of questions, so we've got heaps of questions lined up as well. So I want to swing over to Cyclops personally first. Obviously, that went pretty viral, of course, in the middle of our Australian night. So Craig and I wake up every morning and we're missing new alpha every day. So just, hey, tip us in the chat, guys, because we miss alpha every day because we're Australians. But seriously, I wanted to talk about Cyclops. So obviously, that's your cat. How did that become a meme? Was it all from you, or was it someone from the Gigaverse community? Talk to us a little bit about that. And what's your opinion on Cyclops, the meme coin? And then will it be integrated into Gigaverse potentially?
So Cyclops, he just turned up in our garden one day. Like
my
wife just, I was waking up one morning and she was like, "Oh, hey, I have some news. There's a one-eyed cat who's taken up in our garden, and he's really, really cute, and I kind of want to keep him." And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, all right.
No option.
I was like, yeah. And then I saw him and I was like, all right, he is very cute. I was like, but look, if he's staying around, then my conditions are I need to name him.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, of course, like it's crypto, right? You have a pet and you reveal the name, someone's going to tokenize them.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even thinking. It's so funny. Like after Cyclops, the coin launched, people reaching out to me like, "Oh man, this is like sick marketing, genius idea." And I'm like, this was like completely. This is firstly, it's very real. This cat literally just rocked up a few days ago.
Yeah.
It was like it's like only just happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we literally met this cat like, I don't know what, 10 days ago maybe.
It's really got a coin.
It took us a few days to get him into the vet because our vet's super busy, and anyway, we got an appointment like it was like 5-6 days after he first appeared. So that was kind of like the important milestone where we were like, we just want to make sure that he's like actually healthy, he's disease free. You know, we have a baby at home and stuff, so have to like do the you know, kind of run through that checklist. But yeah, once we saw he was like completely fine, we're like, all right, your ass is like, you're our cat now. We registered him, and now he's like here to stay. So he still loves the outdoors. His breed, Arabian Mole, is kind of like over here. This is like known as like, this is the feral. This is like the wild cat breed. So they're, you know, kind of, they like being outdoors. But equally, he's finding indoors very cozy. So he's kind of like, you know, freely wandering and doing whatever he wants right now. He spends time indoors, some time outdoors. So yeah, he's great. He's like a member of the family now. And the coin launched. I mean, you know, the chap who launched it was like a Gigaverse player and community member, and like just, you know, degen, like awesome dude in general. And he just like messaged me. He's like, "Oh, lol, nice cat. Check this out." And then yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome to see like people seem to really like the cat. They like the coin. I think like as well, like you know, that initial characterization of him was literally I just put in the Gigaverse base character as the prompt and was like, hey, I have a one-eyed cat named Cyclops. You know, make him. And that was the image that we got out, and so it's kind of stuck. So yeah, really, really sort of fun and cool to see. There's like kind of a net new community forming around that coin. So yeah, I've likewise made new friends through it.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. And integration into Gigaverse or completely separate?
I mean, if there is anything there, like going back to what I was saying earlier, it just wouldn't make sense for me to like pre-announce that shit. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Maybe.
Keep it an open bag. I like that, chat. I like that. So that's not a no. That's not a no for you people asking those questions. Okay. I got heaps of questions, but Craig, you shoot with another one.
I wanted to ask what was one of the more, was there something really tricky? What was one of the more tricky things you had to do getting this game onto Abstract? Was there any difficulties, or was it just smooth sailing? Was it just easy?
Yeah, good question. I think honestly, we're just like very happy with like the decisions that we've made, and
yeah, I can kind of tell by the way you speak. I kind of thought you'd say, yeah, it's gone pretty.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I wouldn't call anything out as being particularly difficult. I'll give all the credit here to my co-founder Garnish, who's just like just a very, very based engineer. Nice. Who's like, you know, if there's something like, you know, when Abstract launched, their stack, their ZK stack was not fully sort of like equivalent, compatible with EVM. You had to make some changes. Mm-hmm. And I was hearing from some other devs like, oh, ZK, like, oh man, that's like that's a pain. You have to like do X, Y, and Z. But like Garnish just looked at the docs and it's like, oh, this is easy. Like I'll sort this out immediately.
Perfect.
And now it's like fully equivalent, and there's none of that. So like, you know, everything on the build side is he's just got that shit. You know, he's just got that shit fully locked down. And on my side, I'm just having fun. Like everything that I get to do with on the go-to-market side is a lot of fun. This phase that we're in right now is we're kind of entering this like kind of like next stage where we've brought awesome creators on board. I think the community is like the core community is like starting to form now, and I think now is kind of when we can start kind of like cranking the dial and taking things up to kind of another level. The games. So just to finish that off, the game's getting more fleshed out. We have like more and more features coming online, and at some point we'll launch our mobile app as well. Like the game's built in Unity, so very straightforward to take it mobile.
I was going to ask, did you form, you mentioned it before, did you form a council of creators recently? Is that what I saw on X? It's like 6 of them, 5 of them? Yeah.
Essentially, it's kind of like our first pass at a creator program. And we had this like great problem to have where so many people were interested, and it was like, holy shit, we can't actually engage like 100 people at once here. That's, we probably won't do them service. So the first cohort, I think, was we pushed it as large as we could, and so I think we brought about 25 people in.
Nice.
All awesome, like very different backgrounds, live in different parts of the world, generate different types of content, and so on. And yeah, also shout out to Eyes, who's running that program with us, and he's just awesome. Like very, very. I mean, he gets it, right. I met him as a creator, like I want to say 3 years ago, and followed his arc as a creator. So I mean, he gets it firsthand, and I think that's just so helpful because there's that kind of like I think firsthand authenticity in his approach.
Yeah, amazing. No, I mean, yeah, and I was going to ask that too. So thanks for asking that question, Craig. The creator community, it's so important for like a game, and also just more broadly, like for help with marketing, just getting exposure at different hours of the day, as you mentioned, and different community exposure. Like it's so important. So no, I love that. I think that's a smart direction to take it, which I've got a few questions lined up, some within the game and some without, but I'll ask this one first. So I believe on the 9th of April, according to someone in my chat, you mentioned that there is a TGE in 89 days from that day.
Oh, yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Now we're getting good, Greeny.
18. Oh, is this
someone mentioned it, so it could be false. Tell me if it's false.
No, it's real. I think I know what. No,
that's that's not a no.
This tweet was. You remember when like a month ago it was so over, right? Like we had the tariffs going on.
Yeah, man. Capitulation.
Fortunately, I was able to buy Bitcoin at that wick down to like 75.
So did Craig.
Yeah, but it was it was just like it suddenly seemed it was all fucking over, right?
Yeah, it did.
And then if you remember, when I think it was like Stonks Bottoms, Trump came out and he was like, look, there's a 90-day pause on tariffs, right? We've got 90 days to sort this shit out. So that's when, like, either that day or the following day, I was like, hey, well, founders, you have 89 days to launch, like go. Because the implication being like, we don't know what happens after day 90,
correct,
good or bad. So that was a bit of a shit post, to be frank.
But you need that. You need that on Twitter to grow. So, I mean, I trust the guy who asked me. Shout out to Breeze in the chat. But hey, thank you for clarifying.
So that's a yes, guys. There's a coin coming in.
Alpha, clip it. Get it out.
Clip it quick. A bit of banter. No, it's good. What's next, Greeny? What else you got in there? Because I know everyone.
Okay, I'll follow up with these questions. So the first one is fishing. Now you've alluded to that. I'm going to say a month, couple weeks at least. How far away is fishing from the Gigaverse?
I also had a tweet about this saying like fishing is our S2. Which cool. I think people are S2 is like one of the best memes on Abstract. But yeah, I mean, there's a kind of like a couple features which we kind of mentioned, honestly, kind of casually in the early weeks of Gigaverse. Like, hey, like we had like a working wireframe of PvP, for example, when the game launched. We initially thought, okay, we're going to launch PvP within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, people kind of like seem somewhat interested, but there's not like insane demand for this. We're actually going to like prioritize other things. And so we mentioned fishing early as well. And it just kind of stuck. People, it became like a when fishing thing. So we enjoy that meme. I won't say exactly when it's coming,
Cool.
but it will be good. I think I think fishing, and everyone loves fishing.
Yeah.
In games, but I will say, sometimes it's kind of this like non-feature where nothing really happens, and it's just kind of like a way to, I don't know, it's like you're pausing the game, right? Like, oh, this fish here, and you can walk away. And there's like other ways you could design it, which are a little bit more interesting, a little bit more meaningful.
Okay.
So I think that's. I'm not saying when it's coming, but if it is coming, then that's the route that we've taken.
Very cool. I like it. I mean, I haven't been fishing in years. I love fishing. It's such a unique experience. So fishing in game would be epic from my court at least. Now you did touch briefly on a question I was going to follow up with is multiplayer, and is that something still in the frame of mind, or is it something that's kind of been put on the back burner? And then obviously if it does sort of come to fruition, is it going to be in the same room, kind of like a community? Like I think back to, I mean, like so many games, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm in there, Craig's in there, you're in there. Yeah, like a lobby, like Cambria, or like obviously
exactly.
whatever it is. Yeah.
We can shit talk a bit, you mean, and like
a bit of banter or a bit of a chat or whatever it is. Like, is that the envision of what multiplayer will probably be, or is it more of that load into a PvP sort of game?
No. There will be like it'll be shared world where you see others, and there's it's very. I mean, actually, part of why we haven't launched that already is because we often have several thousand concurrents in the game at the same time. So it's pretty often during the day we'll see like, oh, there's actually like 2,000 or 3,000 people playing at the same time. So it's significant from a load perspective. And so, most sort of like, in the Web 2 world, someone building kind of like what's essentially kind of a bit of an indie game, right? Small team, just launched the game 2 months ago. They don't usually have to contend with these kind of issues, right? Like these are like great problems to have. So to already get to, I mean, just for reference, if you as a game, I think last time I looked at the benchmarks, if you have like over 10 or 12,000 concurrents in your game, then you're in the Steam top 100, right?
Wow.
So just for benchmarking, like if we're at 2,000-3,000 people online at the same time, then we're kind of like 30% of the way there.
Epic.
So it's significant, and therefore, like there's actually a bit of technical work that needs to go into like making sure that's a good experience and doesn't like lag like balls and sucks for everyone. So that will come, but
cool.
we'll already have that load to deal with. So just like a little bit of a meteor feature to get right.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be so cool. Like even like a feature where you could like spectate people PvP, like something like that. It's just like it kind of like, I suppose like COD where they had the gulag, like something like that would be sick for.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But, the gulag was, I missed that. And maybe even people want to wager on that. That could be fun too. I like that though. But this is what I like. Like, there's so much ways you can take it, and that's what I love, and that's what chat loves about Gigaverse. Like, there's just so much that can come within this ecosystem and grow really from here, and that's exciting as a player and as an investor in it. Which I will ask a follow-up question later, but I'll hand back over to Craig. Craig, balls in your court, mate. What question you got?
Yeah. I guess for the noobs out there again, Dith, what's a piece of alpha you could give that would help progression really quickly in the game? Like someone just starting who wants to level up pretty quick. What's a tip you can give them to level up pretty fast?
We designed. If you really like the game, you kind of want to align yourself with it, and you want to like get like kind of all the edges and max sort of benefits that we're putting out there. Then ROMs and Juice are the way to go, really. Juice is designed to kind of like expand, you kind of get like a fourth option in the dungeon. You you can do more concentrated runs. So if you're short on time, you still play the game, and you don't kind of like it's easier to keep up, basically. Spend less time and still keep up. There's no absolute shortcut to like just like leapfrog everything. At least not for now. I think it's really important with crypto games as they grow to let new players feel like they're not behind. So
Yeah.
maybe in time we address that. I don't think we need to right now.
And I got the juice, and I thought it was great. That was actually, you nailed it. That was the reason I got it, and I've progressed quite quickly from using it.
It just feels like, I think most people will just say the gameplay feels just kind of better when you're juiced.
It's faster. It's and when you get the drops from the guys you knock over, and you're like, oh hell yeah, I got all this shit. Whereas on the other mode, you're like, oh, 3 and 3, this is 10, 10, 10, or 20.
Yes.
It's a grind.
It gives you a bit of grind.
Yeah.
And then on the ROM side, ROMs are essentially this sort of like, the initial concept for them was to be this like factory, like this like production factory NFT where, you get resources and utility that others don't have. And so for people that love playing the economic meta game, then like kind of ROMs are the obvious choice. I have said though that like, what we wanted to do with ROMs was like have day one utility and like a set of reasons people want to hold them, but I don't rate them as particularly good right now. I don't think the value prop has been explained well, and the utility I think is also somewhat basic. But that's all opportunity to the upside, right? For us to build those out and to add more there. And I'm really happy with kind of like the current plans around those, some of which people may see pretty soon.
Yeah, that's cool, because I had a follow-up question to ROM specifically, like, are they going to evolve? Because I own, and I want to follow that up with a more specific in-game question too. So I own 8, I own 4 silver, 4 gold. All of them are currently only for the 4 factions that I need, right, to craft. So that for the shards and that stuff. So that's where I focus my attention for the energy, and at least those shards to use for me for more that in-game approach. So I wanted to ask, are they going to evolve? Or you don't have to obviously reveal, but is there a plan that they could evolve in the future?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give you an example. One of the things that like doesn't really make sense right now is someone who holds a lot of ROMs. I think with 8, you can probably find ways to use your energy. But you're getting close to the point where, like, when you have 10 or 20 or 30 or more, it's like, okay, I actually have a surplus of energy. This doesn't feel good. Like, what do I do with this? Am I just gonna like literally have to grind the dungeon for like hours and hours? It's more of like a punishment there. And so like one of the very basic things to sort of design wise is just around that scaling. Like, I think, we would want someone to feel like, hey, if I have a single ROM, that's great. But if I have 10, then there's also a reason why I want my 10, and I'm happy to hold them, and I don't feel like I've got like an unused surplus. And there's also a reason for like, we have some people like 30 or 50. So just like, some of the basic stuff, redesigning around things like that.
Could you lease the spare energy to other players who don't want to buy?
That's what I was going to say. Could you sell energy? Could energy become a token?
A currency per se, or a commodity, or
Technically, it's very easy for us to make that happen. It's more a question of like what would the implications end up being? And so, we had that in the mix of ideas, but there's other things that we're more excited about.
Ooh, okay, sweet.
Okay.
Cool. I need more ROMs, man. I've only got 1, and I only realized after I bought it was an 8. It was an 8 megabyte or whatever. I'll get 8 bigger. I need bigger.
Doesn't earn as much energy. Yeah. See, I like again, like gamification within gamification. I love that. Like, as you guys were speaking at the start of the show about your games growing up, you were probably that era before me. Like, I'm 30, but I still grew up with a PS2 with that early sort of gaming in the late 90s as well. And so, nostalgia, we touched on that. I don't think you'll ever get that period of life again between sort of the late 80s into about the early 2000s, where it was on the brink of, what is this technology expansion? Where is like gaming completely shifting to, like, it runs the world nearly these days. It's like, if you've got a gamer, or if you're creating a game, or if you've got a streamer, like, there are billions of people that play games. Like, I mean, like we were speaking about quality of games and how long it actually takes to build a quality game. Look at GTA 6. It has taken over a decade to like sort of like build what they're building. And it is going to be probably one of the most, or arguably one of the best games in history because it's taken so long to build. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I mean, just to take it back a little bit. So with the ROMs, is there a strategy? Like I went with more of the crafting route for the ones that generate the energy for me, but obviously then also help me generate the specific shards that I need to use in-game sort of boosts, right? Like the health, the energy, the damage for those people that don't know as well. So should I be looking at just buying more factions? Like obviously the Gigas faction is the more rare one. Should I be holding a Gigas faction as well, ROM? Or like, can you touch base around that for people that maybe are a bit unsure about how to start or get exposure to the ecosystem with the ROMs?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of cool things we can do with the faction system down the line. The very I think like, speak to some of the obvious stuff. I think it just kind of like makes it fun and interesting from a lore perspective. We wanted to introduce like some early choice, even though like they're all equal. There's like a fair bit of like community psyopsing of like what's the best faction, but that's all just community shenanigans really. They're designed to be equal. And then there's kind of other thinking behind it as well, which is more on the social collaboration side, where if we have systems where some depending which faction you chose, your crafting materials are different, and then ROMs produce different crafting materials. It just kind of creates a backdrop to encourage the trading metagame, where people need one another's kind of resources, or there's a reason why you may want to like band up with people or share resources down the line. And that's kind of like a very, very sort of like foundational, early piece of thinking around what can ultimately become like guilds. We put it in there early, and I think people are kind of enjoying it, even though it doesn't play into the game too hard or too meaningfully just yet. And then on the ROM side, I think there will be, right now we have it so that, in some cases, the faction that you are determines what resources that you need, and there's therefore an interest to like select the right ROMs so that you get those specific resources. But that may not always be the case, right? We have the option as we put out more crafting benches and more things for you to do, where are the requirements faction specific or are they not? Every time we design like one of these benches, we can go the same way or play a little bit differently. What I will say is that like there's not a lot of right now when you're like juicing in the game, right? If you're not juiced, a lot of people don't realize this, because like a lot of people ended up getting juiced, which is like which is like the outcome we wanted. But if you're not juiced and you go and you do certain parts, like you try to open that chest that you mentioned, Greeny, like you'll say, "Oh, sorry, like you need to be juiced for this." Or if you're playing the dungeon and you get the fourth card option, it will show you the fourth card, but it will say, "Hey, you could have only chosen this if you were juiced." Which makes it a very I think juice is better understood and more clearly, like the value prop therefore is like it's clear, because there's these points in time where we're like, oh, you need the juice to get this thing. So I think that's where we'll get ROMs to a similar point, so people realize like, oh, okay, that's why I need this thing. Because right now, if you don't have one and you just go into that tab, like you go into the ROMs tab, it's not even clear what you're missing out on.
I agree.
So we just have like it's this like basic, and it's still pretty like foundational stuff to kind of do there. But as I say, the good news there is like, hey, well, I think putting some of these basics in will actually help clarify these things a lot.
Yeah, very, very fair. No, I bought juice carton and then I realized I messed up, and so I bought a juice tank as well. So I still have juice. I'm juiced for 35 weeks still. So
I did the same. I think. Yeah, I got the one and then the big boy after.
Yeah. Well, you go, Craig.
I got a question in the chat. I'm going to guess they're a Cyclops token holder. They were asking whether Dith has any plans to continue pushing the IP of Cyclops. And I said, do you mean as far as the token goes? And they said, no, just as far as the Cyclops becoming, I guess, pushing it bigger than what it is now, or at least continuing with it to use it in your game, I guess, or other places.
I mean, he's my cat, right? So
Yeah, thank you.
I see this motherfucker every day.
I just saw a
So-
picture of him. I think someone just shared on X a picture of him. Is that really him though? Is that a real picture?
Yeah, I posted some real pictures.
Yeah, he looks cool.
He literally just he only has one eye.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you weren't even kidding. They're not just a fancy
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. So the story's real. And
So he
so
may pop up in more places, I guess, is what they're wanting to know.
I mean, so our team loves this. They find this story like super cool, and we have like a lot of cat lovers in the team. So as I say, like I don't think it's going to be particularly fun if we pre-announce or make promises around it. Like I think just kind of wait and see and enjoy the ride. And like on the coin, like NFA, I'm a degen like a lot of other people here. And if you like something, go for it. And if you don't,
I did go look at your wallet, Dith, just to see what you have been buying, and you own our bag, so you've got my approval, man. I saw you bought some Guna a couple of days ago.
Guna, good man.
I saw that and I was like,
Guna to the moon, Dith.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a good meme. It's a good meme.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the face is like, I find the face hilarious.
It's the best.
Right, that sort of, that Gunner face.
Perfect. Well, that's good for our bags, Greeny, Diths and Guna. So you've got great taste in meme coins, Dith. That's a ripper.
I want to. I keep like every week. I'm like, all right, this is the week that I go hard and I build my bags.
Yes.
And I keep meaning to do that, and then there's always something that kind of comes up or some other priority. But at some point, I feel like underexposed to all the cool shit happening on Abstract. So
I think that and I know like obviously you're building a game out, but like even earning some XP like as a meme coin holder of other projects and stuff is kind of a cool way to gain exposure and have exposure in other teams and games and apps and all those sorts of things. So I like that play. When another chat question, when can we see Giga Shrine in action? Good question.
Yeah, really good question. I can't actually. The way that we're thinking about that is kind of part of a new feature.
Okay.
So I mean, I know it looks like an item. We designed it to look like an item, but if we follow through with the current plan, then it's not exactly an item, and there'll be this other thing that you can end up doing with it. So that's going to take a little bit of time. Like these, there's kind of like two kind of different updates we like to put out. There's like the smaller, the quicker, like more polish or quality of life, or it's like, hey, there's a chest or whatever, right? Which are much lower lifts and like, that's like a few hours worth of work or whatever. We do it in half a day. But then there's like much larger things which require game design, which require like spreadsheets and planning, and require like entirely new bits of UI and new bits of the map, and are a much bigger lift. And we have to work on those for like, I think as strong as the team is, as fast as they are, like it just takes time. There's no way around that. You made the point about GTA, right? And they've got like literally hundreds of people and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of budget, but still takes years and years and years. So some of those features, they just like are weeks worth of work. But I think it's worth it, right? Like if everything feels the same and cool items we put out just kind of are kind of like lackluster or are disappointing, then that's not fun for anyone either.
Yeah, very fair. All right, Craig, ball back in your court, mate.
Not really a question, but just the chat. Chat was very excited about the PvP element and the fact they may be able to play with other people. So that was a pretty popular. No, I don't really have. I don't know if I have any more questions, Greeny.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, far away from the chat. Is there any more in chat?
I've got one from chat, and then look, I'm playing Gigaverse right now while we're chatting.
Oh yeah.
Always. But I like that, right? It's a really cool game to have just literally on the second monitor over here while you're chatting, and it's very simple, and I like that. When can I climb the ladder?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm glad people are noticing that. Like,
Yeah,
there's
that
a
kills me, that matter.
fair bit of like kind of Easter eggs.
Yeah, I figured.
Someone had posted about this the other day that like the map has changed a lot since day one. It's like evolving bit by bit, and sometimes when it evolves, like, okay, there's a thing there that you can like use it immediately, and like we all know what it is. But sometimes that's not the case, and it's like, okay, well, what is this? When does it come online? How does it work? And I think we really like that balance, right? Like, there's these like very I don't know. It's like a micro speculation thing, right? Like, oh, just like we park that in the back of the mind, like, hey, that could be something interesting down the line. Is there a way to unlock that now, or is it just you just see it but you can't unlock it? So we like that, and I don't know. You saw there's like, once you get up there, there's a pathway, right?
Yeah.
So let's see.
I'm pumped, and I mean, I can't break the vase. My noob hands apparently can't break the vase.
Noob hands, man. That's tragic.
How do we get diamond hands, Dith? What are we going to do? How do we break this?
Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be there eventually. That's we got to hit that opportunity, right?
No, more, and I like that. Little Easter eggs keeps the community coming back, keeps gamers enjoying that speculation like we spoke about earlier as well. Okay, one question from chat too. So what do you have in plan for the GLHFers and their fund collection? So is that still just a collab with the Gigaverse ecosystem as a whole, or what's the plan with that?
Well, it was the first collection that we minted, and if you think about it, the Gigaverse is the game, and Good Luck Have Fun is kind of like the team behind the game. That said, they kind of work in their own way. They're not integrated into the game right now. We want to do that at some point down the line.
Cool.
There's absolutely no timeline for that. The only ones that are kind of integrated right now are these. We ran some auctions just before the game launched for 7 special characters that are one-of-ones, and they've been getting these very high-end skins. Those one-of-ones basically act as skin factories. So whoever's holding them gets dripped these skins. They're the only ones with like a kind of an integration currently. And Good Luck Have Funners kind of have this built-in like deflationary mechanic, where when we run auctions, the character who's hosting the auctions, the auctioneer, you do see him in game, right? He's like manning the Giga Market stall. He uses the funds he raises from auctions to like sweep and burn the floor. So we designed Good Luck Have Funners so that like over time that collection gets more and more scarce, right? As he's running these like coveted, one-on-one auctions, he's using those funds to sweep and burn. I would love to see that collection over time. It's currently at like 3,300 or whatever. I'd love to see us get that down to 3K. Then maybe we can bring it down to 2K. I don't know. Maybe we can bring it down even further. So I like thinking of it in that way. I also really like thinking of it as, I know we now have our own game, and so the PFP is very adjacent. Like it's clearly a community PFP, and it's clearly like the PFP of choice for people who love Gigaverse. But I do like thinking about it as the PFP of choice really for anyone that enjoys on-chain games. We designed, initially Good Luck Have Fun as a community it was game agnostic. We played all kinds of on-chain games. And if you were good at really anything, Pirate Nation or Primordium or Realms or any of these sort of on-chain games, you could choose to like rock a Good Luck Have Funners. So they'll always play like a role in the ecosystem. Obviously, like they got the ROMs airdrop they were airdrop ROMs for free.
Cool.
But we don't know when they'll be integrated into the game. And as I say, I think they've got really strong mechanics on their own, standing on their own. And it just kind of comes back into that like watch this space bucket basically. If there's anything coming and whatever that is, we're not going to pre-announce that shit.
Again, I like that. I like that. And I suppose just for anybody listening, they're at 0.19 floor at the moment, and they're an Ethereum collection. So,
okay, what was that name again, Greeny?
Good luck, have fun. But GLHF ERS.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. Well, I suppose we've covered it so much alpha. Again, chat, if you missed the early starts of this interview, this live stream, you can go to our YouTube's Greeny Trades or Craig's Coin Purse and watch back the full replay at any time. What excites you about Gigaverse moving forward? I think these are sort of the last sort of questions that we'll have for you, Dith. Unless I always like to ask founders and people who are in the abstract ecosystem, do they have questions for us too? So we'll follow up with that after. But what excites you about Gigaverse moving forward over the next, let's say, weeks, but then months?
I mean, more than anything, we just really enjoy working on it. So there's so many specific features that I'm like, oh man, people are really going to enjoy this, or that's not going to be expected, or oh, this will be a moment where the penny drops for people, or oh, now they'll be able to connect the dots, and so that really excites me, right? It's really fun if we enjoy the work that we're doing and we enjoy seeing people's reactions to things we ship. So, I mean, there's a couple of very specific features that we have lined up over the weeks ahead that will do the things I just mentioned. So I'm just excited to get those out there and see people enjoy them. It's also so much more fun for us. I keep talking about I think there's this upside for people when we're not revealing all our plans in advance, but it's also way more fun for us too, for that reason.
Agreed. Yeah, the timeline must be hype for you when you drop something and then people are like, hey, this is fucking sick. That must give you quite a nice little kick, seeing the feedback on the timeline. Regardless if it's, I guess sometimes even if it's scary, it's still a bit of a kick. But yeah, it must be nice getting that instant feedback, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
People want to play, I mean, all of the core gameplay throughout all of crypto is ultimately speculation.
Yeah.
We're
all gambling, we're taking guesses and hoping we get it right. Investigating, finding clues. Yeah, speaking to founders, see if they, you're just always hunting for that little nugget, aren't we?
It's fun for us to see people enjoy that game too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very you see a lot of very sort of, I would say this this kind of crypto wokeism or mid curving around anti-speculation, and it's just what are you talking about? This is core human behavior. We speculate about everything. Right? People speculate, speculate before a sports game. This is just how boring would life be without this shit? So we enjoy people play that game, and I think it's part of the fun that we have too. And then questions for you guys. I mean, I guess this was super well run, so thanks for having us on again. What are you guys? People essentially don't realize this about creators, that you guys are essentially founders too, right? This is this organization, planning, effort that goes in. You're growing an audience and so on. So just to put it back to you guys, what are what are some of your upcoming plans? Where do you want to grow your kind of content platform?
Well, I think Abstract it's really given us the light. Craig and I have been streaming for 18 months, and we in the hypes of the bull market, we've got 1,000 to 2,000 viewers on our live stream consistently, and then more recently it's been back at those levels, which is fantastic. But the Abstract opportunity, because there's just is my stream dying? No, we're good. Okay, it glitched. I saw. I was like, but because Abstract's given us that more unique opportunity, because there's not a lot of people there, and we have that, there's a few streamers on Abstract that are great, right? Don't get me wrong, who have been streaming for a long time. But Craig and I also have that knowledge of how to run a stream, how to run an interview, how to articulate education in the space. That's essentially what we do. We are traders in a trading community, and give alpha and education and analysis every day. And so our goal is to just keep doing that, just at a bigger scale. And then obviously for us, it would be great. Abstract is fantastic because you get tips straight to your wallet. I streamed on Twitch, I streamed on YouTube. You get next to nothing in tips, but then it's also like you earn nothing in terms of like the ad revenue and all that sort of stuff. So Abstract for us in that at least sort of does contribute to a little bit of that finances, but our goal would be to make it big enough that in the bear market, people still come back. You still got a couple hundred viewers in the bear market. Sponsorships down the line as well would be fantastic as well. We have been chatting with a few things and a few teams, but they're not quite there yet at the same time. So that would probably be my answer. Craig, how about you?
You took all the good stuff, really. You've left me with the trash, eh? No, same as mine's. I'll have to be boring then. No.
That's what a good co-founder does.
Yeah, man. I'm like, sheesh. No, exact same as Greeny. You know, I'd like to see Abstract grow out, but as Greeny said, grow out all the channels, all the platforms. And look, the reason I suppose for me, and I don't know, probably for Greeny is. I've always had jobs in the past where I sort of end up helping people, whatever that ends up being. Greeny was a teacher, I was a personal trainer in a former life. So nice. I guess I always, and Greeny as well, being a teacher, we were educating, I guess. And I found myself in this crypto space, and I never thought I'd be an educator. No way. I was the one trying to learn. I wasn't the one going to talk, right? And sort of found myself in this position and sort of thought, shit, this is a pretty privileged position. And on top of that, it's an exciting industry. And there's the other thing I noticed was there perhaps weren't a lot of great creators putting out content that actually helped people rather than pumping their own bags, right?
Yeah. Extraction. Yeah. We don't extract. We provide consistent alpha and education. I agree. Yeah.
So it's sort of, you know, educate, help people, and then at the same time help ourselves, help our families, and hopefully make and earn doing what we love, which is teaching. And also, just to be perfectly honest, man, I just like speaking to builders like yourself because I get a lot out of it. And, you know, if that translates to other people getting something out of it, then that's great. But even if they didn't, I still get a bit of a kick. So I guess that's when you kind of know you're in the right job, if you want to call it a job, and it really doesn't feel like that, but sometimes it does. But you know, it's really, man, I'm stoked to have found this space. Web3 has been phenomenal for me, it's for Greeny and also for yourself. And what a great opportunity to come and be able to build a brand in such a new, exciting space, man. Like I remember when Web2 came out, I've said this 1,000 times, I was too young. Even though I'm old, I was too young. And I remember thinking, geez, that would have been a good time to make money and be involved in a really forward-thinking, creative space. And I think we've got that. Well, I know we've got that again with crypto. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad I took the plunge to come here. It was scary as shit, man, but it's
my friends out. I don't know about you, Dith and Craig, but my friends still say, isn't crypto a scam? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I get it still. I've got bank manager friends who say, what are you doing now? You do, and I'm like, oh, crypto. And they're like, oh, crypto. They're bankers. Yeah, and I'm like, you motherfuckers can't talk, man. You guys are the scum of the, I won't go too hard on bankers, but you know what I'm going to say. They're like, isn't that full of scams? And I'm like, man, the fees you charge me are a scam, but that's another conversation.
That's so funny.
Man, it's a great space, isn't it? And look, Dith, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on when you got the flu, brother. I know when you got the flu, coming and talking to people, it's tough. It's tough to give your energy to the crowd.
Man flu too, so it's basically I'm like, you know, Walking Dead here.
Where all three of us could. This may be the last stream, everyone.
This is basically we're streaming from the afterlife here.
So, Dith, please, you know, make sure you've passed on everything you need to the other founders in case you're not here tomorrow, man. We need the game to continue. But no, thank you again, brother, for jumping on, dude. You're a legend for coming on and giving us your energy.
It's a lot of fun, and you guys run an awesome show here. So, bullish on your future.
Thanks, man. Very much appreciate it. And hopefully we can get you on in maybe a month's time once we know some more, once some more's out in the Gigaverse ecosystem.
Yes, let's do it. And then I can, hopefully the curtains pull back on at least a few of the things we spoke about today.
When there's a live PvP, when PvPs, I'd love to stream that live, man.
Oh, that would be cool for us.
That would be sick, dude. Oh, that's a must do. So that's in another month, isn't it, Dith? You said
early alpha. Maybe Craig and I can get an early alpha into that. That would be.
Yeah, man. Testers, Dith. Game testers.
Keep it in mind, boys. For sure.
Easy. No, massive shout out to obviously chat firstly for joining us today. Big shout out to Dith for joining us. My stream actually didn't go out on Twitter, so exclusively on Abstract. If you want to catch the replay, guys, go to our YouTubes, as I said earlier, Greeny Trades or Craig's Coin Purse, and you can watch back the replay. Dith, thank you so much for spending an hour and a half with us today. All the best for the rest of the week, mate.
You too, boys. Thanks a lot.
Legend.
Thanks, mate. All right, Craig, have a lovely afternoon, and we'll all see you again tomorrow, guys, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Arthur from the Newt Memecoin will be joining us live tomorrow, so that should be lots of fun. And then Craig is got another stream tomorrow night, Craig. Who are you streaming with tomorrow night?
Moody Madness.
Moody Madness. So 2 big streams tomorrow night and tomorrow again, guys. So give us a follow. Give us a follow. Greeny Trades, Craig's Coin Press. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks, chat. Appreciate you all.
Ciao.